How's it going, everyone? I am back with another video. This is going to be my Week 7 Thursday Night Football score prediction between the Steelers and the Bengals. I'm going to do what I've done the past couple weeks, just release a video solely talking about my score prediction for this game, and maybe sometime tomorrow, hopefully, Saturday at the latest, releasing my another video going over the rest of the games taking place for Week 7, my score predictions for those games. But yeah, just getting into this game here. I'm gonna pick the Bengals to pull off the upset here. I'm picking them to win the game 24-21. Am I confident in this pick? Not at all. Not at all. I don't know. Just kind of what my gut's telling me is that the Bengals pull it off. I like what I saw from their offense the second half of the Packers game this past week. The first half they were extremely conservative with Flacco, and then their last drive where they were backed up at like their own 10, they got to midfield at the end of the first half, attempted that 67-yard field goal with McPherson. Since that point, or from that point on, they were moving the ball well. They put up points every drive of the second half, except at the end when they intentionally went for the field goal early to try to down two scores, try to get the field goal, get the onside, leave at least a reasonable amount of time left to try to get the touchdown. And McPherson missed the kick. If he had made that kick though, assuming the Packers would have recovered the onside, since he would have scored every drive in that second half against one of the better defenses in the league in the Packers, even though obviously the last time we saw the Packers, they were allowing 40 to Dallas, who again, no, it's not like that's awful. Obviously, allowing 40 is awful, but at least it was to a high-powered offense in the Cowboys rather than like a bad offense. Even though they don't have Lamb, they're still moving the ball well. Putting up points without Lamb. But anyway, my point is, I think what Cincy found in the second half of that Green Bay game, they carry it over to this game. Their offense plays like they did in the second half of that game. They put up a decent amount of points. They ended up putting up 24 points. And the Bengals defense, it's not been good this season. And maybe the stats and the score won't suggest this, but at least to my eye test, something to me is telling me the past 2 weeks the Bengals defense is starting to improve a bit. It's starting to play a bit better. So I think that might carry over to this game. And another thing my gut's telling me is the Bengals are kind of just due for a win. They're 2-4. They've lost four in a row. And then on the flip end, the Steelers, I think, are due for a loss. Do I really see the Steelers, being 5-1, which they would be if they win this game? They're 4-1, but they do not feel like a 4-1 team at all. No one's really talking about the Steelers. The Steelers are 4-1, but everyone's like, oh, well, they're 4-1. Good for them, but not really talking about the Steelers that much. Um, this one thing concerning me though is the Steelers defense since week 2 has played really well against. Although I will argue, my team, I think we handed them the game more than they actually won it. I think the turnovers were just boneheaded moves on our part compared to the Steelers making the plays. But I guess since week 3, technically, the Steelers defense has played a lot more like the Steelers defense that we expected them to this season. They played a lot better than they did the first 2 weeks of the season. And sorry, I'm just reading text here. They played a lot better than they did the first 2 weeks of the season. So, going against the Bengals offense, which has obviously been struggling significantly since Burrow's been out, that could be a disaster for the Bengals. I could see that happening. If the Steelers win this game, I think it'll be because of their defense. I think their defense will play a really good game. I think the Steelers offense, something my gut's just telling me they kind of have like a typical Steelers offensive game where, kind of like last week where, and obviously the Browns defense is much better than the Bengals, but, the Steelers, it kind of stalls out at times. They're moving the ball well sometimes where they put up a decent amount of points. I then put up 21 here, but it doesn't feel like just grinded out football. It just doesn't feel like they're moving the ball well. I mean, they put up a decent amount of points. What I'm trying to say here. So if the Steelers win this game, I absolutely think their defense will win the game for them, and their offense will just kind of have like a typical. Well, they put up a decent amount of points, but it was kind of methodical. Grinded out type of offensive game for the Steelers rather than explosive plays. Although Metcalf's been getting some explosive plays. Maybe Metcalf's a big game. They get some explosive plays there. That could be another reason the Steelers win. The Steelers, I think, are definitely the safer pick, but I don't know. My gut's just telling me since we've also had some weird upsets and or on Thursday night this season. Well, more so the past 2 weeks. Obviously, the Giants beat the Eagles last week, and then the week prior, the hospital 49ers beat the Rams. So, and then the week before that, the Dolphins nearly pulled it off against the Bills. So, um, yeah, that's another reason to suggest the Bengals. I don't know. My gut's just telling me Cincy in this game. I think Flacco, also Tomlin's, kind of complaining that, maybe not. I guess sort of complaining that Flacco got traded to Cincy, which I guess is understandable. Obviously, Jake Browning would have been an easier matchup than Flacco for the Steelers. Obviously Flacco is a long history playing against the Steelers. He was the Ravens forever. And it just kind of seems like the Bengals are taking the right approach to this game for me. Jamar Chase, talked about how this is a big game. As disastrous as it's been for the Bengals since Burrow went down, and they're only 2-4. They're technically second in the division. As disastrous as it has been for them, so they win this game, they'll be 3-4. They'll technically only be the Steelers at the bye, so technically if they win this game, be only a game and a half back of the division lead. So this is a big game for Cincy, especially on the or not on the road, at home in prime time. Maybe the crowd can energize the Bengals there. Yeah, my gut just tells me I'm rolling with Cincy because again, I think they continue where they left off against the Packers. We've seen upsets this season. Cincy's defense seems to maybe be figuring something out. Bengals kind of have the right mindset heading into this game. We see the Steelers. I think Mike Tomlin, I saw, said he's only 2-8 on Thursday Night Football. So I feel I'm not. I don't want to say I'm confident, but I'm feeling okay with my Bengals pick, even though they're 5.5-point underdogs. And again, the Steelers very well could just win comfortably. I could see the Steelers winning close. But if they do win, I could see the Steelers kind of winning comfortably by more than a score. But I also, if they do win, I think it'll be close. And again, mainly due to their defense, they could win ugly, like a 20, I don't know, 26-14ish type. Well, that's not really ugly, but hopefully you know what I mean. But I don't know. I'm just gonna roll with my gut in this one, telling me Bengals. I think I'm gonna cook up a parlay for this game. I may take the Bengals plus 5.5. Again, the Steelers very well could cover that and win. But yeah, I know it's risky to take Cincy, but I'm gonna roll with my gut and I'm gonna pick the Bengals and hope for one of my teams that started out 0-3 and looked like an absolute disaster, a complete lost cause. And I had to pick up waiver wire guys. I got guys out for the year. I was like, yeah, this team is beyond cooked. I've won 3 in a row, and I'm 3-3. And Jamar Chase was my first pick in that. I used him as my keeper, so technically I got him I had the 7th pick, so I technically got Jamar, who was arguably the not unanimous, but a heavy contender, probably mostly when the first overall pick. I had 7. Obviously, he's been a bit of a bust this season, in part because of Burrow being out, but he played good week 2. He played good last week. Hopefully, my point is, hopefully for my fantasy team, he can pop off on this game. My gut's kind of telling me Jamar is a big game, so that'd be good for my team. But yeah, I'm gonna just roll the Bengals here, pull up the upset, win 24-21. Should be, I think this will actually be an entertaining Thursday game. Bengals absolute must win. They really want any chance to contend for the division. I feel like, mathematically it isn't, but they really need to win this game, I think, if they want to contend for the division and stay afloat in the playoff race. But yeah, like I said, I'm just going to cover exclusively this game, and then hopefully tomorrow or sometime Saturday at the latest, release the rest of my score predictions for the rest of the NFL games. But I'm going to wrap this video up here. So I always say, if you guys have fantasy, with your picks, and your parlays, betting, all that good stuff. If you do that in this game, have anyone playing in your fantasy teams, good luck, as I always say. But I will wrap this video up here. Hopefully you guys enjoyed. Should be an interesting Thursday game. Hopefully it's an entertaining game. But yeah, thank you guys for tuning in and take it easy, guys.